Anywhere in the world, land is vital to humankind. It is an important asset that helps people unlock economic opportunities, whether we use land for agricultural purposes, for housing, for building factories, or for transactions. Land is the source of material wealth on earth. When Nigeria gained independence in 1960, there were different land tenure systems in the northern and in the southern region. In the southern region, the private ownership of land by individuals, families, and communities was the predominant land tenure system, while the Land and Native Rights Act of 1916, which was made by the British, was the land tenure system that existed in the northern states.
So it's been more than 40 years since the military government in Nigeria passed the Land Use Act. What that did is essentially eliminate freehold land ownership in Nigeria and create what I will call eminent domain over all land in Nigeria. So all private land then became under the mandate or the auspices of government officials. Could be the governor or could be federal government, but a government official. The idea back then was to create synergies, to make documentation, to make processes of acquiring land for national development easier. So if I wanted to build a highway across the southwest, it was easier for me as the government, more or less. If I wanted to get land to build a mega farm, I could go to meet the governor and say I want land, and the governor could give it to me. So that was the intent, national development. But in reality, what it has created is lots of bottlenecks. It has created lots of inefficiencies in the transfer, registration, and the ownership of land.
When government claims he holds the land in trust for the citizens of that state, then from there, you still see that same government making compulsory acquisition without compensation according to the law and according to the Land Use Act. Then what? Who is deceiving who? You rob Peter to pay Paul. That's the meaning of Land Use Act.
The Land Use Act have outgrown its usefulness. There is need for land reform to make land available and accessible for everyone.
What is not obvious to many people is that the Land Use Act has a socialist leaning and is deeply rooted in the Land and Native Rights Act of 1916, because both laws vest all the land in the territory of a state under the governor of that state. This Land Use Act is the law that makes it possible for the government to evict anyone from their land today.
This community is recognized by federal governments. We have fully booked units 011 here, Ward J, under mode of local governments. So we are not just foreigner. This is our home. We have nowhere to go. It was on the 3rd of January 2020, Nigerian Navy came into this our community, asked us to leave. The government to use this place. They brought in caterpillar. They started demolishing our house. We have nowhere to go.
The Land Use Act gives only the governor of a state the power to grant a statutory right of occupancy of land to any person, and also to issue a certificate of occupancy as evidence of a right of occupancy. This act prohibits mortgaging or transfer of possession without the consent and approval of the governor of the state where the right of occupancy is granted. Obviously, this is the reason less than 25% of Nigerian households own land, and also the reason while less than 5% of all the land in Nigeria are registered.
Ideally, the CFO, by its name, by its meaning, and by the law, is an instrument, a legal instrument on land, on landed property. Holding CFO is as good as we are holding several millions of liquidity cash on your asset. The CFO can be used in securing facility in financial institution. The CFO can be used as an equity capital between a third-party business. If you cannot have a liquidity cash with your CFO, it can serve as a guarantee for you to enter into any negotiation with any business partner. It can be foreign, it can be local, because the CFO itself is an instrument recognized by the law and can be testified to by the government on two parties, either for financial institution or even for a private individual to enter into a contract.
We're talking about only less than 5% of Nigerians have title to land. That is a major drawback to the economy. The effect of this is simple. If you have land and that land is not titled, then do you actually own it? If you have no land papers, then you have no means of drawing equity from that land.
No doubt, the Land Use Act is a restrictive policy because it hinders the citizens' right to occupy, buy, or sell their land. And such policies always impede development. Now, imagine if you had to get the governor's consent or approval to buy or sell a land. Can you imagine how uneasy that will be? Certainly, the Land Use Act is one of the reasons why Nigeria's housing sector has not lived up to its potential.
When you look at the housing sector in Nigeria, you will agree with me that it's plagued with inadequacy. In comparison to other climes, Nigeria have an average of about 17 million housing unit deficit. And this can be related or traced to the issue of land administration. We cannot shy away from the fact that in Nigeria there are categories where people or citizens are placed. We have the rich, we have the poor, and the poor are of a higher percentage compared to the rich. In respect of access to land, the rich have more land than the poor. And so you discover that it is very difficult for the poor to access land for housing. And even when they do so, you find a lot of slum areas cropping up, and the kind of facilities that are built there have what is professionally termed housing inadequacy in terms of the structure, the components of the building, and so on.
The idea is this: if you have a house or a land and you want to basically get a loan from a bank, you have to legally transfer title from yourself to the bank to create an equitable mortgage. To do that, you have to go to the Land Bureau to get someone to sign off on that transaction. So for sale, for transfer, for collateralization, you have to get a government official to sign off that transaction.
The World Bank's 2020 Ease of Doing Business Index ranks Nigeria among the lowest in terms of ease of registration of property title. Going by this report, It will take an average of 6 procedures and 51 days to register a property title in sub-Saharan Africa. But in Nigeria, a land title will take 12 procedures and an average of 105 days to be registered.
Many people don't have CFO because of the nature of the process. It's too stressful, it's too frustrating because from the ministry itself, they make it so difficult because of so many issues that are involved. Go and bring this, go and bring so tax certificate, go and bring so tax clearance, go and bring your date of birth certificate, go and bring this, go and bring that. And this is a country where we are, that we don't have any database for all the required documents. Except you want to go extra mile. For that reason, a lot of people are running away from it. So it kills the whole concept completely because of the cumbersome in nature. You can be pushed out of your interest irrespective of the time, years, months that you must have spent on that land. So directly or indirectly, you don't have any interest on it. But when you have it, then it's an instrument you can show and to prove that this is what I have on this land, to show that I'm the rightful owner.
Without titling, land loses its ability to empower the owner and is therefore regarded as a dead resource. The Land Use Act, as an instrument used to nationalize land ownership in Nigeria, has not yielded positive results for the people. Instead, it has facilitated state control of the use and development of land. So, what is the way forward?
There is a general outcry for the Land Use Act to be repealed, and I would want to lend my voice to that outcry. The bottlenecks, the bureaucracy, the corruption that we see because of the Land Use Act should be addressed.
The key amendment I would like to say, can we create digital registers of land in Nigeria? It could be state by state, it could be federal, it could be local government, but eliminate the need to go to a government official to get your land, in quote, certified with a certificate of occupancy. If we are able to create an amendment to that act that allows lien placing, that allows electronic registers, that updates the act today, then we eliminate this dead capital issue. So the Land Use Act could still remain, but the practice of the Land Use Act in all the states needs to be standardized so that it makes it easier for owners of land, for financial institutions to meet in a common marketplace.
Nigeria has not fully utilized its land resources because the government has eminent domain over all land. With such constitutional power, who do you think owns the land?
Until we reform the Land Use Act, land in Nigeria is and will always be owned by the government. But when we adopt policies that institutionalizes private land ownership, this will help people to effectively harness the potential of their land as a valuable asset. Reforming the Land Use Act will facilitate quicker and efficient land transactions. It will empower people to derive economic benefits from their land. It will be a good source of internal generated revenue for government. It will improve the ease of doing business, and ultimately, it will help more Nigerians out of poverty.